Well, hello and welcome to Bowtie Life, where we talk mostly about life in the garden. And today we're talking about fermented Scotch bonnet peppers. Now, on August 27th, now today is, yes, November 1st. On August 27th, we put these 2 jars of Scotch bonnet peppers, because I had a lot of them. We put these up on the shelf for fermenting. They fermented. Well, in fact, the video came out on September 11th, I think it was. They fermented, I think, for about 6 weeks, and I knew I wasn't going to get to them because we're heading into our busy season. So I just stuck these in the fridge. And the cool thing about fermentation, they'll preserve up there. They were fine up there for 6 weeks. You can ferment for longer than that. Some people do. I took them off the shelf and stuck them in the fridge, which doesn't kill the fermentation, it slows it way down to just a snail's pace. But now, I did do it, well, in fact, I'll link to the video where I fermented these up here in the upper right-hand corner in the cards for this video. If you're on a device that gets cards, you can go look at that. I did an experiment a while back where we did the sunchokes, and we did a 2-week ferment and a month-long ferment. And there wasn't a lot of difference, though I do think that the longer ferment on the peppers does seem to make it a little richer. So we are going to look at in this video, I've teased this a few times, the peach Scotch bonnet peach hot sauce recipe. They put peach in the name of that twice. This is just a recipe I found from Chili Pepper Madness, and it looks like a decent recipe. I'm actually not going to use this one completely. I'm using the idea of it. There's another video with Chili Chump that he talks about making some hot pepper sauce. I'm going to use some techniques that he does. We're going to emulsify these. Now these have onions and garlic in them, a lot of it, and that's called for in the recipe. It does not. We'll have to see what we come out with. Maybe I'll pick some of the garlic out. I'm looking here at this tomato. Oh yes, there's garlic and no onions, but there is quite a bit of garlic in here. So anyway, we're going to include the garlic. The onion is just on top, holding the Scotch bonnet down, so maybe I can pick those out. I am not using peaches. I don't have any peaches right now. I don't grow any peaches, but something I do grow is LOQUATS. And well, let's just get on with this video and we'll talk about the substitute. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. Okay, so I'm only going to commit 1 jar to this process. I am going to try to follow this recipe, sort of. I'm going to be, I don't know. I'm gonna try to follow it. I'm gonna make a few changes. Mainly because either I don't have something or I don't know. We'll just have to see what comes out. I enjoy experimenting, as if you've watched any of my videos, you know. And so we'll just have to find out where we go with this. So this jar, there's onions on top. There are a number of garlic cloves hidden in the middle here. I thought I was going to have to pull out some of the garlic cloves. I weighed it, and looking at the recipe, it's about the right amount of garlic cloves. I do have a bowl of LOQUATs. Okay, LOQUATs. If you don't know what a LOQUAT is, think of a tiny peach, about that big around. An Asian plum, I think is what they're called. But they taste like peaches. They have that same consistency. Oh, they're so delicious. I love it. And so we're going to add some of those to this recipe instead of peaches, because I do have I had those in the freezer, and so we'll use that instead of the peaches, and hopefully we can get at least a semblance of what we're expecting to come out of this. So I am going, there is some liquid in here. And you can probably see there's a little bit of the brine still left in here. And now the ferment in here has kind of gone mostly dormant, and that's to be expected. I am saving this brine because Mrs. Bowtie has promised that she will use some of this brine in a marinade for some chicken. We just, again, complete experiment. We don't know what's going to be like. We're just trying to get an idea of the flavor profile and what we can do with these things. I saw in a recent video, someone said, now you save your brine because you can do that. You can marinate your chicken. You can put it over whatever. So we're like, okay, I've been dumping that out all these years and didn't know that. So anyway, the onions, there are a couple of onions in here in the top, and I am just going to pull these out and discard because the recipe does not call for it. There we go. So just 2 onion, oh, there's a couple little pieces of onion in there. So 2 onions in there. I'm not going to waste any of that Scotch bonnet. There we go. We'll put that aside because this recipe doesn't call for any onion, and I'm checking it like a 10th time. I don't see any onion in there. So I do see some tomatoes on here, and I happen to have tomatoes out there that we'll use for this. Let me see if I can get this liquid off of here first. That's a pretty simple process, right? A lot draining out of there. Hopefully that'll be enough for the marinade. I don't think we need a lot for the marinade. Hopefully that will be enough. I will stick that in the fridge and we'll have that here soon. I'll let you know how it is. I don't think we'll be doing a video on that simply because we're both kind of uncertain about it. So what's going to happen here is we are going to emulsify this with an immersion blender. I also have a towel here. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that this process goes wrong sometimes. Hopefully it's not the only reason you're watching this, because if you're watching this, the title of this may have given away a secret, but I don't think it's going to. I do have a towel. We'll put this over the top. We'll use the immersion blender. And oh my goodness, that smells, ooh, that smells amazing. Okay, so now the recipe actually calls for fermenting this with the peach. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to put in an equivalent amount of the LOQUATs. Now these LOQUATs, you can see they're kind of an orange color, and they have been thawing for a couple of days because they were frozen, and they've been thawing a couple of days in the fridge. I pulled them out thinking I was going to do it, I don't know, a few days ago. It didn't happen, obviously. And so, yeah. Did I mention the ferment? We started it in August 27th. It's now November 1st. That video, oh yes, I linked to the video in the corner. My ADD brain just doesn't keep things in it very well sometimes. So let's get on with emulsifying this. And what I'm going to do, looking at the recipe, it looks like there may be a little more peach than there is Scotch bonnet pepper. I'm going to do about the same amount, maybe just a little bit more generous on the Scotch bonnet. I mean, a little more generous on the LOQUAT. This is a very hot pepper. They say it's about 300,000 on the Scoville scale, somewhere in that range, 2 to 4, somewhere in there. And I've eaten one of these. In fact, there's a video of me eating one of these. If you have cards, you'll get a link up here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen to that very painful 14 minutes. And so we're trying not to make this so much a painful experience, but more of a pleasurable experience. So that's why we're using the LOQUATs, and to kind of bring it down and so we can get more of that flavor in there. So this recipe, it calls for 6 ounces, that's a lot more than 6 ounces of Scotch bonnet peppers, pound of tomatoes, 1 peach, cloves of garlic, apple cider vinegar, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of honey, which I do have some good honey, a tablespoon of mustard powder. I'll have to see if we have any mustard powder. 1 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon ground cardamom, which I truly do not believe we have. If we do, I will use it. And 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to start emulsifying this, and we'll emulsify some of those LOQUATs and get them all blended together in a bowl and give it a shot. Oh boy, another experiment. Let's find out how it goes. I might be pawning some of this off on some friends who like hot stuff if it's not that great. If it's fantastic, I don't know, it may never see the light of day again because I'm sneaking it in my kitchen. So there we go. All right, let's get right on with it. So, in case you haven't heard me say it yet, I am not a chef or very good cook by any means. I am experimenting, I'm playing with things, I'm trying to learn as we go along. So these LOQUATs, they taste amazing. I actually tried one before I started up the camera. I knew how it was going to be, but wow, they're sweet. They are really sweet. I forgot how sweet they are. And I was actually fully intending on including the skin with this emulsification, but the skins can be a little bit tough. It's about the same thickness as a regular peach, maybe even a little thicker, I think. But I'm not sure it would be the consistency that I'm looking for our emulsified Scotch bonnet. So I really quickly discovered that the meat comes out of this quite easily because, well, likely because it's been frozen. So I'm going to sit here for a while and pull the meat out of each of these LOQUATs. Now the problem is there's not a lot of meat to each one of these LOQUATs. There really isn't. It's kind of the downside here of using the LOQUATs because they are small and they have this seed in it. Well, they have between 1 and 5 seeds in it. They're like little marbles. And so you only end up with a sliver of meat around each of the pits. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull the skins off these things. Like I said, it's coming off real easy. You can see how fast I'm doing it. They just kind of squeeze out of there. It's awesome. I might end up adding more LOQUATs to this if I get through this. And I'm going to have, ultimately, here's the thing. That's the Scotch bonnet and the cloves, the garlic. About half a jar. I want to have at least that much LOQUAT. I think I'd prefer maybe just a tad more LOQUAT to balance this out. So I'm going to let you go. You don't need to sit here and watch me. I'm going to work on this a while, and you can join me when I'm done in about 1.5 frames, right? So, yeah, fun times. Okay, so that took a few minutes. The LOQUATs have been blended up, and I'm going to have to put these in. I'm probably going to go get the food processor, mix them up. I need the honey and the apple cider vinegar still, and I believe that's going to be all that I add to this before I give it a taste test. So the LOQUATs, they smell sweet, and kind of anxious to see how it turns out. Yeehaw! So there we go. I got the apple cider vinegar. I got the honey. And yes, this is honey that came from our bees. Old Florida honey, wildflower, local destined honey. If you want some of our honey, it's not ours. We're not sponsored by them. This is the fellow that does our bees, though. He does a great job. And so we're down to it, though. It's time to taste. Are we ready? So I will mention, first off, the LOQUATs were in water with lemon in them after they had been frozen. I let them thaw in water with a little bit of lemon. And I do have that food processor that I used way back when we made the LOQUAT jelly. In fact, I'll put a link in the cards up here in the upper right corner so you can see that video if you have not yet. I did have a tomato processor that I did the LOQUAT meat, got the meat out of there. But I did just realize, though, that we're missing the tomatoes. I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste, and we'll see what we think. It's got some spice. The LOQUATs are interesting. That makes it an interesting flavor. It is kind of chunky. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that has some spice in it. I do like the taste, though. It's very good. I will be making a couple of special jars for some people. You know who you are if you're watching this. So anyway, that's interesting with the LOQUATs. I like that. I've made jam out of the LOQUATs, and this is the next good thing out of that. So yeah, there we go. Just a little snippet of making something else hot. Ooh. Now there's some bits here. I'm wondering what these little bits are. I wonder if I missed some pieces on the LOQUAT processing. We'll have to see what happens with that. Anyway, so this is a little insert, kind of a post goodbye sign off, but one last thing kind of thing. I went out and got some tomatoes, about a pound of tomatoes, and I blended them up, and I added some of the LOQUAT Scotch bonnet mixture into it, and it actually gave it a very different dimension. I was pleased. It's not my favorite sauce, though. It does have a good flavor. Tomato, Scotch bonnet, and LOQUAT. It does have a good flavor. I like my big mix thing better, to be honest. This is just LOQUAT and Scotch bonnet. I'm going to bring both of these to the chili cookout, not the chili cookout, to our campfire fellowship where we do a hobo stew. And I'm going to get people's opinion on both of these. See what people think, if they have a favorite. So anyway, yeah. So far, I don't think I've found my mix for the Scotch bonnet peppers. If you have not done so yet, please subscribe. The community is growing, and it's exciting to see it grow. And those of you who have subscribed have been my heroes and helped to grow our little community, and also the community as a whole of homesteaders and gardeners alike. Those of you who have subscribed, again, you've really encouraged me to keep going. It makes me excited to do these videos. I'm already doing these videos just because my brain works better, but I'm happy to do more various kinds than just my garden tours. And that's always just spurred on by the people who subscribe. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching, and especially if you're watching up to this point, you've helped grow the awareness of gardening and food preserving on the internet. If you thought this was entertaining, interesting, inspirational, or educational, please click the thumbs up on this video and share it on your social media. I I guess that's everything. I just wanted to kind of walk through it here. November 1st. Here we go. We're kind of coming down to the end of the year. Our weather has changed. We just had that big cold thing come through. We got down to the mid 40s. Our water is still pretty warm, and that kind of helped keep our temperature stabilized here. Just across the other side of the bay, which is that way is north, just the other side of the bay, it was cooler, and about 10 miles past that, it was in the mid 30s. And so that bay does have a lot to do with keeping our weather here a lot more moderated. And so this cold front, though, that the whole country is, or almost the whole country, maybe not some of you on the West Coast, but most of the people in the U.S. have felt this cold front here. This has definitely made a change in our weather. I'm just hoping our tomatoes will ripen in time. So, appreciate you coming along. Have a blessed day.